You are live.
All right, thank you, Madeline. All right, quorum being present, this meeting of the Historic Annapolis Preservation Commission shall come to order. The commission operates pursuant to the land use article of the annotated code of the state of Maryland. Local authority for the commission is derived from municipal code from the city of Annapolis, chapter 21, section 56. The purpose of the HPC is to preserve sites, structures, and districts of historical, cultural, archaeological, and architectural significance. Requirements for serving on the commission are detailed in chapter 21, section 8.06. The HPC operates pursuant to the State of Maryland Open Meetings Act, and therefore no pending application shall be discussed among commissioners outside the public hearing. Okay, that's next on the agenda is roll call. I am Tim Leahy. I serve as chair. We have Leslie Xavier, Will Scott, Kim Finch, please say hi.
Hello.
Bobby Collins,
Here.
Bill Williams.
Hello.
And Kevin Smith.
Here.
We also have with us John Tower, our staff, and Jackie Rouse, also from the Office of Planning. All right. Pretty sure the next thing on the agenda is approval of minutes. No, announcements. Any announcements or from John or anyone else?
So for the record, the city's new permitting system, which is called Energov, that's ENERGOV, will be online and functioning January 10th. And as I said a few moments ago, it's going to replace our paper submittals. So we will no longer have paper copies of plans. That's significant if you're someone who likes to hold paper plans. I certainly do. It's what I've been doing for the last 50 years. So I'll miss it. However, if a set of plans on paper is required by any commissioner, just let me know and I'll get one printed out. Typically, we have copies in the office. We'll no longer have that. Everything will be digital. And so I hope that that you have screens which will allow you to see the proposed projects. I think that's the way everyone's doing it right now anyway. It hopefully, and we don't have all the bugs worked out of this, it will make it easier for you to comment if you want to comment, or to see public comments, and they could all be uploaded. Of course, we also have our site, and that is not going to change. So January 10th, new adventure. Bill Williams, I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
Oh, I'm absolutely thrilled.
Yeah. Has there been a pilot? I have a million questions, but has there been a pilot of any sort?
Well, I think the
With
pilot
any department, or is this?
the pilot boat was floated out into the harbor last year about this time, and it sank.
Uh-oh.
And
Is
so
it in
it's-
use anywhere else successfully?
Yes. Other places in Maryland, I believe, is the other place that I know of is Charles County. So we will see. I think it's going to be difficult for older residents who are used to a certain pattern of turning in applications. And
Excuse me, John.
go ahead.
Being probably the oldest person on this screen, I think I want to know, Jackie, who's the ethics officer or the compliance officer? I take that
You
as a
have one
person.
of those?
I have a person. That was a personal slight against older citizens.
Hold on. I don't think I'm so distant from you, by the way.
Well, but I
Me
still
neither.
think I have the age on. me.
Okay, well, you may, but here's
I'm
the,
just pulling you.
here's
Yeah.
the fact. As soon as you get comfortable and you think you know the system, and I've worked very
Yeah,
hard to
there's
get a
a
lot
lot
of
of-
people to know the system,
These are
boom, that
difficult.
curve comes in.
Yeah. It's not all 8.5 by 11 documents in this particular office, and that creates all sorts of issues. Have they made any, so several other, I know you can't answer these, but it's not on, it's a good announcement, and I appreciate it.
Okay,
But-
but can I just add one thing?
Sure.
Is that I don't see why, as even though applicants will be submitting applications electronically, we cannot then also ask them to submit a certain number of paper copies of the application so that we're not making those. And if, I know the Board of Appeals, the entire Board of Appeals wants paper applications. And our plan is to require the applicants to also submit paper copies that we will send to the Board of Appeals. Because it's really challenging if you're a volunteer working from home on your laptop to be switching back and forth to look at an application. So
Yeah,
we're planning to continue to get
that's
paper
great. Well,
copies.
I'd like, do we have to do anything specific, Jackie, to make that same request for this commission?
Well, you would probably have to get legislation passed. No,
Well,
I think you can just tell John that or Sherry
Okay.
that you want to continue to receive paper copies,
Okay.
and we'll
Well-
just ask the applicants to submit them.
Exactly. So what it's doing is actually adding a step and not taking away a step. It's adding a step that the applicant will have to upload their documents. Right now, our step is they submit paper, Sherry uploads the documents to the drive. We're taking that uploading process and moving it to a different place.
Theoretically, moving it so that everybody has to be able to upload their entire application electronically. So so there'll be some bugs with that, but
Yeah.
nobody said we can't also ask for paper copies to distribute to boards
Well,
and commissions.
Right now, that's in our rule. So we would actually have to edit our rules in an application to
That's
not require it, because
correct.
right now we require it. So we're not going to change our rule. It's still required.
Right. No, I don't see that. I mean, we had all day training. Nobody said we can't ask for those. So
Well,
that was
it's
my
our
game
rule,
plan.
so, Okay.
Well, we're not going to need 9 copies any longer because 5 of those copies that get distributed for building permits will be
Right.
done electronically. But I can ask for 4 paper copies.
And so we need to probably go through our rules and our procedure and the instructions on a bunch of our forms, because this is kind of woven.
Well,
through that.
I think we also really need to see, if we've been told we're definitely going live January 10th, there are probably going to be a lot of glitches getting through that
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
So,
We still will have what we have.
right, it'll be
That's
the way it
the-
is.
Yeah.
Well,
And
doesn't the HPC form physically say 4 copies paper?
it does. It does.
It actually
They're going
says
to be
9.
getting, but
It
all
says
those
9.
application
for-
forms.
Well,
will be-
9 includes the permits.
No,
permit
this is
file.
for permitting it also. It's everything gets submitted electronically.
No, that's not
Permits
what I'm
and-
asking, Jackie. Thanks, Jackie. That's not what I was asking. How many of those documents are HPC that are submitted? 'Cause it's 9 total.
4.
4. So basically, submit 4 and provide an electronic copy at this point.
Yes.
Uploaded like electronic
Right.
copy, right?
Right,
Then there's we will need to be trained where to look for things, because right now we look at our Google Drive. I assume that is changing to a different location, or
We are going to continue to upload the plans to the Google Drive.
okay, so
So
our
we will
procedure-
still have that Google Drive site.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. So we will not need to log into Intercom to look at Intergov to look at drawings. We will continue to do what we do. So that's good news, because you can,
When a project is submitted, does that become accessible to the public so they can look at the project as well?
Well, it
there will be
already
a public
is.
access point.
Yeah,
for
it's
Internet.
already-
that's
Yes.
actually a real benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that some today. The forms online are going to go away. So that like if you were going on the website right now and you wanted to submit an Historic Preservation Commission application, and you would go to the forms and permit place, and you might download and print that application out and fill it out, yada yada. That's not going to be there anymore. It's only going to be an electronic application form.
Okay.
And I do not know how the rules for an HPC application are going to be displayed. So that's something to work on
Instructions, yeah,
Right.
yeah, rules and instructions. Yeah.
Yes.
That's important because there are multiple, there's
Well,
lots of information.
you should write down these questions and turn them in to Tom so that Tom, so that we can find out what the answers are.
Yeah, the whole form and its instructions should be included.
It's important. And, the truth is most people don't read it. I found that most people don't read it.
Well,
Well, that's true, but people do ask, well, I don't know how to do this. And then I know that we direct them and said, well, you just need to read page 2 of the application form and it explains it. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
John, that didn't come up today.
Yep.
okay.
So interesting.
Tim, can I just add a voice
Kevin.
that if we're getting an electronic system, it's a much better customer experience to not have to print out 9 or 4 copies of the application.
Yes,
And if we're trying to make it a better experience for residents to comply with the regulations, then we should be trying actively to eliminate that tedious step.
yeah, I understand. Yeah, I
So
understand.
initially we'll ask for 4 paper copies, but I don't know how many commissioners have been coming in for the paper copies.
Mhm.
Right. You will?
No, I don't
No,
want
we haven't.
paper copy.
Right.
No.
Everyone goes to the drive site.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
I'm only, yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe none of you need the paper copies.
I don't want a paper copy.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of customer service, it's really probably going to be better.
Okay, that's good to know.
And I also think from public review, one of the difficulties we had during the Zooming stuff is people's access to looking at things, and we can't let them get into the Zoom drive. That's been a hassle or a
Well,
barrier.
we tried the non-paper copy, thing with the Board of Appeals, and they're not receptive to that. And neither is the Planning Commission. They want paper copies.
Well, I'm not
Bunch of
sure.
old fogies.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell them, who said that? Who
I
just
said
said
that.
that?
an old guy. Hey,
The person who started drawing with pens and vellum
Yeah.
and now on
Yeah.
a pen machine.
Yes,
Tim,
well,
I enjoyed that.
there's so many questions
I enjoyed it too.
swirling around and
Yeah.
questions without answers that even our wonderful staff can't immediately provide.
yes.
Would perhaps it be best to schedule a meeting led by Tom Smith? I assume you mean Jackie? Jackie,
Yeah, he should do this for
Yes.
all commissions.
Uh-huh.
to take all of these questions in and do the best to answer them
think-
and then find answers for the ones that he
That's
can't
a-
answer
The
immediately.
great suggestion is kind of dropped on us without comment from commissioners, all commissions.
Yeah,
It has a
Right.
pretty big impact, and different commissions will have different feelings about it
yeah.
or different opinions. It sounds like we're okay in general with the electronic because we've been dealing with it, but I'm concerned about just the follow through of
Exactly.
how it penetrates a bunch of other knock-on effects.
Yeah.
And
Well,
not to
let me
mention the
just
fact
say
that it
that
might not work.
Yeah. So the Historic Preservation Commission processes, how you all do things with applications are very different than the
Correct.
way we do things with other zoning applications. So I think that a session related to that would be one that, that John and Sherry would have to have with you, because your processes are totally different.
Whoever, I just think the
Right.
staff,
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
So
it's a pretty big change for all commissions.
John will
departments.
have this all down pat by Friday, so he can schedule that anytime, right, John?
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, my familiarity with this system is, well, it's minimal.
This
Yeah.
was our first time today
It's my
that
second.
any of
my
us in
second.
current
Yeah.
planning had
And
any
in
exposure.
fact,
to
our
this.
January meeting is January 10th.
Well, I can let you all know exactly what's going on January 10th and send out emails prior to that to let you know where we stand and how.
So
things
we'll
are
be on
going.
day one. It goes live the day of our first meeting.
well, that
Yes.
that's still good. I mean, that's what I think will be most helpful, because not right now, we're not getting any answers because nobody
We don't know.
is familiar with the system.
Well, I haven't focused on the form yet. It's certainly, how should I put it? Our forms had a certain look. And people are used to filling it out a certain way. So
Yeah.
it is going to, I think, tax a few. Others will be very happy about it.
Yeah.
Anyone who's younger than 40 will probably think, God, I don't have to go down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Kevin said, we have a variety of different customers, people who are applying, and users. They'll be it's important that they'll understand how to do this so that it doesn't erect a new barrier for them. We have our commissioners and we have you as staff. So there's 3 different user groups that need to be trained here. And none of them have, you are starting yours at least.
Right. And so the way that this has been approached is through a program called, ready? Train the Trainers.
Hello, I spent 35 years in IT consulting.
Train the Trainers.
So you're the trainer.
So basically it's always a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
And the other
That's how the
thing
city
is,
saves money. It is actually can work.
right. I hope that this does not result in a reluctance to file applications.
And we don't want another barrier, any more.
Yeah, Kevin's right about that. That
Well,
if
you know,
we-
maybe
we
in
need to
this
make this a
direction,
smooth
if
customer
somebody
service
maybe can help
interface.
us.
Right.
I'm
So,
sorry, Leslie, what were you saying
Go ahead.
there? And then I'll go back to Will.
I'm sorry. I
Go
said,
ahead.
when you post the directions, maybe we could, leave like a call number, somebody that if they have problems, they can call and talk to someone.
Good point. And who would they call, John? You or Sherry?
either of us. And, frankly, I mean, I'm in the office a lot. I'm either in the office or I'm at sites or I'm giving stop work orders.
And the best time to reach him is like between 6 and 8 in the evening.
By the way, that is my quiet time here.
John likes to work to end of the evening.
And Will, did you make your point that you wanted to there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think the outcome of that is, I think our feedback would be if we could get some additional information, not only for our commission, but maybe others that Tom could provide us, even an overview. It doesn't, have to be we just need more information.
Well, I will try to get that for you. Tom is in a position of some discomfort because he is not first and foremost a computer or
I know.
technology driven person.
All right. Well,
No.
it's just a
Well, then he
request.
gets the IT person that can help us.
I think we may actually be talking to Maria more than Tom.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whoever.
whoever it is. You're our liaison. You know who to.
I'll move it forward.
All right. And I think your point about it, where the instructions and directions are, I
Yeah.
think is very important. All right.
But also, if you all think about it and you think of other questions that you have about it, so Tom was taking notes today and making a list of questions that he's going to go back to the IT person who's managing the project and discuss with her. So if you have questions, emailing them to John that, would be a good idea. If you think of what about this or what about that? All that stuff is really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It would be great to make this a system that our users or people who are trying to apply for HPC approval look forward to using, as opposed to something that they want to avoid because they don't understand it.
Yeah. And again, I'll reiterate the fact that the public review of documents will be a whole lot better. E-track it is not easy to find things in. All right. Any other announcements? Okay. Next on our agenda is approval of draft minutes. We have 2 for approval. First is October. We'll vote on them separately. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention in the roll call, Kimberly Consoli is having an e-operation. So she's not here, but she will be doing our minutes. She'll review our video and she'll do the minutes after the fact. All right, the first was October 11th. Were there any changes, clarifications, comments? I see none. Kim, I think you were not present, so for that one. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes for October 11th?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Bobby and Will, Bill. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain? Kim abstains. Okay, next on the agenda is minutes for 27th of October, 2022. Thoughts, comments, changes? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes for 27th of October?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor? Leslie, you were not there, right? So you're abstaining, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 And Leslie abstains. Okay. Very good. Next on our agenda, next on our agenda is violations and status of active violations. John, can you give us an update, or any other commissioners if you have any thoughts?
My latest was the 3 strikes and you're out 10 Church Circle project. So I went by and I said, you cannot remove mortar without approval. And so I came back.
John, who's the tenant there? What is it?
Oh, it's so let me identify the building. It's right across from St. Anne's Church on Church Circle. It's the old Maryland.
It doesn't
National
narrow it down.
Building.
It's a circle.
Everything is right.
Right, but it's the old Maryland National Building.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
So I kept catching them making continuing to work, and I gave them a stop work order, worked out the mortar and the brick, and I think they got a pretty good match. Stop work order came down today. I guess it was up for 2 weeks. But boy, they're everywhere.
Were they just repointing?
Well, it was repointed. They were taking out the night deposit box. It's not a contributing structure. So they were taking down the night deposit box and the ATM, and then filling in with brick. And my first comment was, you're going to have to raise the level of your craftsmanship here. You cannot score brick with a grinder. You can't do that. You're not allowed.
Mhm.
Who owns that building?
Kelly Investments,
Is that a new owner?
relatively, yes.
And
Okay.
do they have a plan for redevelopment of the property, or are they just spiffing it
Well,
up?
No plans for the exterior. Ultimately, I don't know what their plan is for the interior. Right now, they're renting, I believe, or they're looking for short-term tenants.
Interesting
Oh,
buildings.
okay.
All right. Any other, John, any other violations that you'd like to update us on, or
Just,
there are a bunch of still
this is-
outstanding around town?
Well, this is going back to 110 Compromise Street.
Yeah.
I did send out an email about the violations there. They've had 6 months to take down the speakers on the outside of the restaurant. So, and this is all part of the conditions of their use and occupancy permit. Now, of course, we want 110 Compromise Street in Choptank to continue to operate. But the response to the requirement that they remove their outdoor speakers has not been prompt. So that's one thing. And then also the furniture there, some of it is compliant, some of it isn't. Some of it has composite components. And I'm finding that the composite components for better designed furniture, I think should be included in our guidelines.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is Choptank made the decisions on their outdoor furnishings before our our guidelines had been made public and part of our code. So everything was ordered without that, although they knew that they could have umbrellas, they didn't know exactly how their umbrellas should be. So they have striped umbrellas instead of solid umbrellas. I also, and I spoke to Tim about this, we have different violations around town that relate to at least ubiquitously heaters at the outdoor dining and the parklets. And all of these, of course, were purchased before our guidelines were in place. If you want to see someone's blood pressure rise, tell a restaurateur that they have to remove equipment which is functional at their restaurant. And I got a big earful of that today in relation to a new restaurant, looking at an older restaurant owned by those I will not mention, and saying, if they don't comply, why do I have to?
Right.
So just that sort of circuitous logic. And I said, the great thing would be, as soon as you are compliant, you never have to revisit any of this. So minor issues, but
makes your job harder.
Right. Anyway, let's see what else.
I think one thing I would like to tease out of that is that I think we can tweak our guidelines to include composite material in the chairs in particular, which are somewhat common now. It's a heavy duty PVC or heavy duty, I'm not sure exactly the material, but we can be specific about that. What we're trying to avoid is all plastic furniture.
Right. And 110 Compromise has
instead of several others.
Yeah, they have some bright fluorescent orange Adirondack chairs, and
that would
those were not approved, and they are also PVC. I forget the term they use for them, like vinylish or something like that. I'm not sure.
Well, those are what we're trying to avoid.
Right, exactly.
Not
So
only the color, but the material.
right. Something I can't remember. It was some marketing term. It's not vinyl, it's
It should
vinyl.
be leather, you know.
Like leather, right? Well, I'll take a look I'll take a look at the specific mention of that, and I think it'll only take one or two words to enable you to say that those places are now in compliance. The heaters are another topic. We went to great pains to specify the approvable ones that didn't add to clutter, particularly the ones that were like towers.
Right. The towers dominate.
Yeah. I don't believe all those towers were in place before the guidelines went in myself. I believe some of those were purchased after. But we don't have, so it all depends on how we use your time. You have plenty of things to do.
Well, I asked the mayor if I could be authorized to snip the gas lines, just cut them.
That just raises a bunch of safety issues that I won't want to get into.
Well, the answer was no.
Yeah, of course. All right, well, so that the action item is for us at least to go ahead and take a look at those guidelines again, and you know, we can take a look at the examples of where we think there are an adverse impact on the streetscape by these heaters too. And the places matter too. There's a little different on the deck of Chop Tank versus in the middle of Main Street on the sidewalk.
Right now, Chop Tank doesn't have any outdoor furniture out. So that's to their credit, they've decided that the season wouldn't warrant having it out, and so
Only a matter of time.
right. Well, it's coming back, right?
Right.
But in other words, they don't have any heaters out.
Okay, so they're not a heater issue; they are a furniture
Right.
and umbrella issue.
Yes, yeah, the heaters are
Yeah, and again,
at Market Space and on West Street.
Right, and I think we as a commission can take the site into consideration in terms of strictness or leniency, as, for instance, striped versus solid.
Mhm.
I would say. I don't know whether anyone has any more thoughts on that. but- All right, seeing no thoughts or head nods, I'll move on. Next on our agenda is, I forgot to poll everyone, but 3 Wagner Street is on the agenda, and I'd like to propose that for the consent docket. Is that, does everyone approve? Okay. Then that is on the consent docket, and the consent docket is a procedure designed to expedite applications, which I have received recommendation for approval from all the city staff and technical advisors. Also, there's no public opposition to the application. When an application is approved on consent docket, we do not need to have any further testimony, and the applicant is free to go. Just remember, you still need to obtain the necessary permits prior to commencing any work. So the following application is eligible for the consent docket: 3 Wagner Street. So that being the case, can I hear a motion for the consent docket, please?
I move that we approve the application for 3 Wagner Street as it consistent with the guidelines as mentioned in the staff report.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. So Jacqueline, if you wouldn't mind, if you wouldn't mind promoting the owner, and I'll just explain what that was all about.
You mean Madeline?
I'm sorry, what did I say? Jacqueline? Madeline.
I just hit that button, so
There's Dan.
someone should be in soon.
There's Dan and John and Sandy. Okay. Hi. So your application is approved on the consent docket. You do not need to have any further presentations or discussions. And we thank you for going through the process. We had several pre-applications, of course, and the design continually improved. And the reason we need to have you come to a public meeting just in case there's any public testimony. So that's why we have to go through this extra step here.
Completely understand. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you and look forward to seeing the project.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
your time, you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, good work on your part. Thank you for your patience. Dan, you did a great job.
Yeah, like I said,
Thank you.
really
Appreciate
You
it.
did wonderful.
Definitely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Next on the agenda is administrative business. I have a few things I'd just like to discuss since we haven't met very much and haven't had too much opportunity. There are just things in the background. One of the things that I agreed to pursue was the next step in updating our guidelines. And I think we have agreed as a commission that they need updating, and we've done a little bit of tweaking here and there over the years, but a fairly major review and possibly clarification, simplification, I think are some of the goals we talked about. 2 things, there is funding available from the MHT for hiring a consultant to do this. Is advisable that we have a consultant, a third party, do it, someone from the outside who can move the process forward. It does involve a fairly standard process of analysis among us, talking to constituents, and possibly even a public hearing. So I did reach out through the listserv for the National Association of Preservation Commissions. I posted it out there for recommendations for consultants, and I've gotten a few back. So our next step is to prepare a short RFP, which I'll take the ball and do that. I've got enough RFPs in my life for consulting. So I'll look at some models that we've done in the past, and that'll be our next action item, is to get that RFP together and send it out. This is something that will take a while. I anticipate this. I don't want to set expectations that this will take any less than a year, because we have a lot to talk about and a lot of issues. So I just wanted to let you know about that. Any thoughts or different directions you'd like me to take?
Once we get the process going, Tim, is this something where we will have like working sessions and things like that so that we can kind of have the ability to really talk about just this subject without having to bog down a meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a good point. I think we should have, when I create the RFP, it's going to lay out a work plan. And I will include in that work plan anything you would like me to, but in my mind, that's exactly right. Depending how busy we are, we could have separate work sessions from our public meetings. We could also have a subcommittee if you would prefer. Yeah, well,
Oh, I just wanted to say something after you finish responding.
okay, yeah, so subcommittee is another possibility, a working group that could get together and work directly. So that's another possibility, but as I develop the work plan, I'll think about that and make sure you all review it and add to it. Okay, Will?
I would suggest, if you think this is prudent, you've already worked with Eileen Fogarty a bit, or you've certainly met with her, know
Of course.
her. Yes, and so you might want to sit down with her and just ask sort of her thoughts about how to do the process, because all the time that she and I work together on the Planning Commission, I think she really has a handle on how you involve the commissioners, as Bobby was raising the participation of us and the public, and a work schedule workflow that would be appropriate to the scale of what we're doing.
Okay.
And I agree with you that this can take a year, even though we're only talking about the historic district and our working documents, but that's still, to be done right, involves work sessions with the commission, public hearings to review, to get input, then to review drafts and give further input, et cetera, et cetera. So she could probably lay this out to you in an hour. And you can take it or leave it, but I encourage you to think about whatever it is that you recommend.
Okay, I'll take that on board.
Tim, as we're going forward, this is just my opinion, but I would really like to see us do some in-person meetings for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like that too.
Okay, I agree. Another thing on my little list here was in-person meetings.
Yeah.
We are seeing some other commissions starting to meet in person in City Hall. And I'd like to poll all of you how hard you'd like me to press. At this point, it's Mike Malinoff who would be making, Hillary and Mike. It was really David Jarrell's opinion that we should not have these meetings, but I'm personally eager to get back into public meetings for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
So just polling, and there's right now, as far as I know, it's an either or situation. There is technology available to have a hybrid, obviously. So I will pursue that, but how eager are all of you? Are you equally eager to get back? Something we would be willing to wait till the spring? Should I press for February, March? Let me hear your thoughts.
I think spring would be nice.
Yes, Will?
I am anxious to meet in person. I think that leads to better conversations, discussion, and sharing of ideas. But having recently had COVID, I was surprised at the impact it had on me. It's not a terrible case, but it was more impactful than I expected. And I'm very concerned about members of the commission, the public, the staff. It may have situations like my own where my wife has some medical issues that I want to limit exposure. And you all, I'm sure, are hearing the news about how hospitals are beginning to struggle with the tridemic. So I think it might be best to wait, as Leslie suggested, until the spring.
Okay.
That's just my personal.
It's only, yeah, Bill?
One thing that would make it easier for everyone to meet in person and to have people down at the meetings is if we can wait until after the parking garage is available. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal.
No, that's one of the reasons. No, it's not. It is a big deal. I get you. That is one of the reasons that
Or if we wait till summer, at least people can walk easy.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
the garage is really going great guns.
Yeah.
They poured their fourth deck today. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but my parking space isn't ready yet.
Is there an estimated time of completion?
Yeah, when it's done.
I've heard May.
I heard June.
Yeah, I heard ready for the summer.
Yeah.
This year
It's
is good.
possible. It-
Yeah.
It really is possible.
Well, luckily, there's not a whole lot of finish work on a garage, interior finish work.
Well, we have we have our brickwork,
We have brick, no, I mean interior.
right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of electric.
A lot of electric.
And what I've heard from Travis, who is the project manager, there may be some issues with electric materials.
I mean delivery.
Right, and those are the biggest issues these days. I mean, obviously, they have a motivated workforce, they're really organized, but some of the components can hold things up.
Mhm. Okay, well, we'll have to see. All right, well, that's good discussion. I
There's
will,
a problem with the whole elevator thing, that they can't get all the elevator parts either. They're
Yeah.
gonna put all the ADA spaces on. In order to open on schedule, they're putting all the ADA spaces at ground level initially with signage up that the
Wow.
elevator, there is no functioning elevator.
so they have those facts in place already. That's amazing.
Yeah, so,
Great.
But they do have ramps.
right.
You can start at the top.
Yeah, there you go.
Tim, I have a
Going down is
comment.
easy, going up is not.
This is
Yeah.
true.
Bill, you're on a roll tonight.
We can do a toe on the way up.
Yeah.
Kevin, you had a comment?
Yeah, on the meetings, I'm strongly in favor of keeping them virtual. If that means a hybrid option, that's fine, but many of our applicants don't live in the city at the moment. I didn't live in my house downtown when I was renovating it. It would be a burden. Many of the architects aren't in Annapolis necessarily, so that's another burden that being virtual allows more people, and the studies show the city meetings that are virtual have a younger demographic attending, and that's something I would support.
All right, good point. I think what we're leading to really is, and in some of my other activities, we do hybrid meetings and it works fine. It is really a thing. And the city should be able to do them.
Yeah, I've done those too, Tim.
If
Work very
if we have a community group that can do that, it's just a group of people that meet together for general meeting, community meetings. It's not rocket science.
So I have a complaint that I think you all should do something about.
What's that?
It's the speakers that are on the outside of that building that's where the little purple bus stops. Is that the sunglass store?
Are you talking about a complaint, a violation?
Yes, a violation.
Well,
You
we're-
can-
They have speakers on and they play the music so loud that you can't, when you walk by there, you have to stop talking because the
Okay.
music is so loud. And I don't have you all approved speakers like that, or is
No,
that something
That would be a violation. We have a
Right, no
violation.
speakers are approved.
They were?
they are?
No speakers.
No
are
speakers,
approved.
what was I saying? No, right.
So
Not to mention, they're
have
not
you-
approved from a guidelines point of view, but the volume is another department as well.
Well, just getting rid of, but if you get rid of the speakers,
You
then
get
you
rid of
wouldn't
those.
have the volume.
So John,
Yeah.
so that would be a
Well,
violation. for John to follow.
it's been mentioned. I'll get right on it.
Okay, great. All right. Second item, the City Dock Master Plan. I did run into Eileen Fogarty at the City Hall event, and we chatted for a little while, which was great. She's trying to get back to us with a new update, and they're eager to do it. They've been tied up with dealing with the parking rollout in their meetings, and so, but she said she'll get back to us. So John, you and I can continue to ask her. I said we are open to meet again jointly with Planning Commission. And I told her our next meeting is January 10th. So we can make adjustments to our agenda at any time. John, have you been in any additional meetings that show new progress on the design?
I have not. I've heard a lot of different ideas,
Yeah.
and I don't want to use the word floated, but I just did, being floated. And you know, there's work to be done. So I'm concerned about how the Fleet Reserve and Compromise Street are going to find solutions. Then there's also talk about possible new parklet at the end of Prince George Street, and
Right. In relation to the Burtis House.
right, and then the Burtis House itself is moving forward. They do have to get a grading plan, which I don't think they were expecting, but I'm hoping that they're going to come to our January 10th meeting for a pre-app.
I ran into Melanie at another Christmas party and talked to her a little bit about it. So, all right. Next on my agenda is two things having to do with the hotel that is being planned at the end of City Dock, which we've been aware of for months. I am aware at least multiple meetings have occurred with additional designs. In the last few months, we have heard that they thought the designs would be able to fit within the existing height zoning. But just recently, in the last 2 weeks, what I'm hearing is that they are not intending to do that. They are intending actually to seek a change in the height. And we talked about this in September, and we drafted a memo, which I have not sent yet. But we, as a commission, felt that was not appropriate or necessary to have a successful project. So as that is developing, I think what I propose, at least I will, it's been almost 3 months. What I'll do is I'll send that back around in terms of our position and make sure we're still all kind of on the same page. That the thrust of it really had to do with that this was spot zoning at a specific location, and the knock-on effect in other locations up City Dock and up Main Street could be a real problem in the near future, an immediate future, because as soon as this one would be changed, it would trigger others. So it's not just this building. So that's what I'd like to do at this point, is propose I send it around. We'll keep our ear to the ground. Historic Annapolis has been involved and has met with so there, as our advocates are looking at this as well. We would encourage, there's multiple moving parts here. We would love to see the designs ourselves in the pre-application. But we have not seen any drawings as a commission, so we really can't comment. So I would love to encourage them to come to a pre-application, but if they intend to change the ordinance, I believe that their strategy would be to change the ordinance first. So we'll have to discuss that first.
Would you like me to extend an invitation?
I would, absolutely.
Okay.
Any pre-application would be welcome. I think John has seen several drawings and designs, and they're fairly, I think we have all seen them. They're more or less public. They're well developed, and they are developed. They're in the stage of exterior design that show what the intent is. So
That's correct.
Why wouldn't they come in for a pre-application and get our comments? And I'd like to get it into open discussion about what our thoughts are on all aspects of the design, bulk and mass and height details.
So it's not really just the height that there's, that the current design doesn't comply with.
Correct.
It doesn't comply with the width of buildings.
We don't know.
It doesn't comply with the accessory structure on the
And
roof
FAR
stuff,
and
it
the
doesn't
FAR.
comply with FAR.
Yeah, so it's not
And-
just HPC. That's like Jackie, you're right. It is not
Well,
just HPC guidelines.
Yeah, there are a number of things that will have to be, if the current design is to go forward, there are a number of modifications. All of the height, all the stuff related to the height districts and the accessory structures on roof and the width of buildings is all within the HPC chapter of the code, but then there are also the bulk regulations under the C2 zoning district
Yes.
that, so
Yeah.
it's a multiplicity of things.
Well, have the owners discussed anything with the planning department in terms of in any of these other?
There have been meetings with the applicants. John, you've been to those meetings, correct?
I have. I've been to several.
And how about in the other end, for instance, the FAR discussion, that's not within John's department. Are they engaging other parts of the planning?
Well,
department?
the last meeting included Michael Laplace and Tom Smith
Okay,
and myself.
Right.
It did not. The architect Peter Falat was not there. He was at the previous meeting, which was the presentation of the design. There are two designs being considered. And I mentioned that the design, both the larger one and the smaller one, which is still large, are challenges to code. I think that was my phrase.
okay.
Go ahead.
Well,
I think this is one of those situations where the matter is currently in the hands of the staff. And I very much agree, Tim, with your suggestion that John invite them for a work session. But as we all know, there's no way for us to compel them to
That's
do
correct.
that. But Tim, you hold the power as the chair of the commission, unless I misunderstand, and there have been some changes in the city code. When they come forward, whether they're a work session or not, when they make an application, if they're not in compliance with code, you may refuse to hear the application.
that's correct.
That was within the powers of the chair of the planning commission. I think it's
It
within
is.
your powers.
That's
So-
excellent.
And we just have to prepare ourselves for that, because my sense right now is that's what they're going to do.
I think
We're the last stop in the process.
We are.
By the
But-
time
but-
they get to us, they've had to go through everybody else.
Yeah,
But then
And-
again, if they come to us with something that's clearly outside the guidelines, they're gonna have a problem with us.
right. But that's their problem, not ours. It's ours in the end because we have to
Right.
support the code and our guidelines. But right now, I think, are spending too much time worrying about something over which we have no authority, no matter how frustrating that is.
No,
But you all have had pre-application meetings on other projects
many other.
before they've had all of their zoning approvals,
That's
like
absolutely
110
correct.
compromise.
That's
and-
fine, yeah.
Yeah, we
Pre-apps
can have
are
it
different.
anytime.
It's the value of our project, It's very valuable. And I think
Yeah,
knowing that they've had at least two meetings with multiple parts of the city government, it is completely appropriate now to ask them,
Exactly.
they have drawings,
okay.
let's look at them, let's have a dialogue. We're trying to work with them. We
Right.
want to see what is feasible and not feasible under current guidelines, and we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it and see, instead of conjecture or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we haven't seen drawings as a.
And John,
as a
unless
group,
I
it is-
misunderstood your comments, you're telling them. And so Jackie, if you're part of it or whoever.
No,
is
I'll
representing, that's-
I'll
you're telling
contact.
them.
I will.
Yeah,
And
you're,
right.
Yeah, we're open. We want to have a conversation and talk about it.
Yeah.
As an example, one of the aspects we know is being floated is a rooftop dining feature. And that is something that may or may not be feasible. I did a little bit of a research in my own opinion, looking at the guidelines, and it depends on the site, the building itself and the location. It clearly to me is not, and incidentally, it is possible that we'll see rooftop dining moving to a broader topic in other buildings. We've already talked about it multiple times in other buildings. If it's on a historic building and it's in a very iconic view shed, it is to me is not going to be feasible, because it's not a use that was conventional. It wasn't under the Secretary of the Interior standards. It's not an intended use of the building. Or a rooftop. So it depends on the building. So let's have a conversation about that particular feature.
We had that court case a few years ago where we did approve rooftop dining at 4 Dock Street, and the city was taken to court on that, and we were overturned. And that's that skinny building
Yeah.
that used to be the resident with the weird rooftop.
Yeah. The parapet.
Yes.
Yes,
was
where it
behind the
has the parapet and then only half of the roof
Right.
is like, and we did take that through a zoning approval process. And the rooftop dining was approved, and then we were taken to court and we lost, and they didn't. So that,
They
and
ended
that
up not
was,
going forward with it.
right,
Well, that's another example of let's have that conversation with the applicant
Yeah.
and see what their what their proposal is. Is it, if it's,
right.
we just don't know. But let's have that conversation with them so we can help them guide the design to make it better.
Well, it certainly seems like a good idea for them to get some feedback from the Preservation Commission on this project, since they have, they have designs
They-
that they're
clearly.
moving, that they're shopping
Yes.
around, and to get feedback from you on, what you all think of it and whether or not it meets the guidelines.
And,
Has there been any discussion, John, in any of these meetings about whether or not the project meets the guidelines?
Discussion. There have been statements. I handed out 2156 and highlighted where the project didn't meet code.
I'm not,
Lack
I
of
was talking about the guidelines more than
Well,
code.
I'm not talking about guidelines. I'm talking about code. So,
Yeah.
Right,
They're not
there's a
responding to
difference.
guideline references like that to the code. They are going to ignore us and come in cold.
Yeah,
so,
it's
start the discussion.
right.
right, so beyond code, there hasn't been, I guess what I was asking, have there been, just forget code, have there been discussions about how it meets the guidelines?
Yeah, statements about massing of the building. Yes, absolutely. And that was from the first meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
We know who's involved. And we know,
recollections
how-
may vary.
pardon?
I said
What?
recollections may
Well,
vary
no,
of
as
what
I
was
think,
discussed.
go ahead, Wes.
Oh, okay, I get you, but we know who's involved as the developer. They are going to come in cold.
They are going to come in and ask for everything.
Yeah.
Yep. And we just need to understand the issues and together and agree on what the issues are, and then sort through them one by one.
And
we can
I
do that in
know
the
that
conversation.
I know that I have a different opinion of the bulk, height regulations than most of the rest of you or all the rest of you. But I can tell you that in all my years of doing this kind of thing, if you come in cold, I'm going to throw the book at you.
Yeah.
So don't worry about where I stand.
Okay.
We're far from the point of discussing whether I want to present an alternative opinion of the height regulations.
Okay. Yeah, if you come in and without any kind of respect
Yeah.
for what we're starting with, let's have a conversation. And
Yeah,
then
Yeah, you
develop-
want to spend an extra couple $100,000? Have at it.
There you go. Okay. Well, John, if you please do reach out through whoever you're talking to. The applicant is still unclear to me. The owner should be the applicant, but we see the presentations being done by a variety of people. So whoever who would like to come and make a presentation, we're happy to put them on the agenda, and it can be without a whole lot of notice either.
I think
Oh, wait, can I
the
say-
applicant in this case is the architect.
It's going to be, and the architect is going to be Peter Palat. I think that's decided, right?
Mhm.
Okay, then please reach out to him and say.
So is there going to be another presentation to the HPC on the adjacent project?
The Burtis House,
Mhm.
a pre-app, hopefully in January. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm encouraging that.
They were eager to do that too, so. I did hear that there was the mold mitigation problem got resolved. I can't remember how it got resolved. But,
Well, we only need one more flood.
well, yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I know there was a problem, who's gonna pay for the mold
Oh.
mitigation. Somehow that got resolved, I can't remember how. All right.
And are they still presenting that project just as a first phase thing that
Yes.
we're putting the building on a pedestal and wrapping it?
Yes, there was some concern about whether the second phase is going to be required for permitting and grading plan and so on. Of course, the second phase is an impossibility to produce at this point. It would just be pure conjecture. No one actually knows what the ultimate purpose of the building is going to be.
Yeah.
There are many interests vying for a spot there.
Yeah. As far as our application goes, it is phase one.
That's
We
right.
have, since our last meeting, there has been movement there, though, that the National Recreation Area for the Chesapeake Bay has made progress on Capitol Hill. And there was a big announcement. You probably all saw it.
Yeah.
With all the politicians there. And so then I actually know, and I worked with Wendy O'Sullivan through my heritage area activities, and she's very excited to be a part of the Burgess House. So that's one of the parties I believe that John's referring to. And that would be, I personally feel very strongly it's be a good thing.
Yes.
And
So John, is there any timeline for them developing plans for us for the second phase?
Well, there's an uncertain timeline. There, that's the most diplomatic phrase I can use.
yeah, and we can ask them that when they present to us.
No, it just seems like it's an unfortunate thing that it's an indefinite timeline,
The funding is not lined up for it.
right? But we've approved other projects, multi-phase projects, like Maryland Hall was approved as a 3-phase project, and they only had funding for the first phase.
Park
When we
Place
took
was
it-
also a commercial project that was
Right.
approved in phases.
So that's
Yeah.
for the planning department to deal with. As far as the
Yeah.
HBC goes,
No, I'm just saying
we-
it's not an impossibility
Oh,
to
good.
get a
Glad to hear
phase
it.
project approved.
What else we got?
that's it for me.
We're not going to try to have an administrative meeting at the end of the month. are we?
No, we don't have December.
No.
administrative.
Oh,
Not
okay.
December.
That's, I thought that was just had to do with where the calendar worked out.
No, actually, we pretty much, we usually don't, in November and December, we don't have administrative meetings.
Okay.
As a,
So the fourth Thursday of most Novembers is Thanksgiving. So,
exactly.
right.
Yep. All right, then our next meeting will be January 10th, and
Right.
we'll be looking forward to that. Any
Happy
closing
holidays
thoughts?
to everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Wait a
Best to
minute,
everyone.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Whatever you
party?
celebrate,
Your holiday is.
No
celebrate it
party?
well.
An HPC party? See, that's
no, we
another
used to
reason.
go out for drinks.
I know
You
that
can
was
do
a
it
reason.
virtual.
That's the
Everyone get your
reason.
drink and
No,
come.
we didn't
Oh,
do
no,
it
that's no fun
virtually.
at
We
all.
were real life people going out and supporting local businesses.
I know, we used to, that's an advantage to meeting in person, but we'll do that soon.
You all could be partying right now and we wouldn't know it.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
coffee.
look, see? He's
Coffee.
pretending. And what's in that cup, Tim?
Water.
Coffee.
Oh, well, I'm so
Whatever it
disappointed,
is,
Tim,
it's clear.
because the HBC annual party was always a lovely time to support local business.
Yes, well, it was actually the city hall party was really very nice. So that it was, I got a chance to meet a good number of people.
I'm
I'm
glad
glad
to
to
hear it.
Yeah. All right,
Move adjournment?
I'll
So
hear a
moved.
motion. Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?